So we're starting a new series today called Finding Inner Peace. And I'm going to do this right at the top because I'm going to forget. So like 3 or 4 years ago, we did a series on peace. And I think it's been that long. And I wrote a book. Well, it's not really a book. I wrote a devotional on peace. It's a 21-day devotional. I think I've shared my testimony probably ad nauseum about my issues with anxiety. What are you doing? Literally just caught my daughter making fun of me. Did I do something weird with my hands? I wrote a book. Is that what I did? All right. I was typing my book. Look, you can't make fun of me in the front row and not get called out every once in a while. Okay, so, yes, we are giving these away for free. I just want you to know that the church bought these, and I'm not going to make money off of it, so, blah, 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 right? This isn't about me. This is about, I just want to help, and it's a 21-day devotional. So what I would encourage you to do is to take one. They're free. They're on the table right there. If we need more, we'll buy more for next week. But during this month, we're going to be teaching on peace. You could be going through this. Maybe God would do something in your life. Good idea? Yeah. All right. So, finding inner peace. So, there's a new Barna study that's come out that's fascinating, and if you like this kind of stuff, you should go look it up. It's talking about they interview kind of Christians, non-Christians, people who are spiritually open, people who are spiritually closed, and asked a ton of questions. And one of the interesting findings is that people show up at church eventually because one of their top reasons is they're looking for inner peace. And so some of the things that I think pastors generally think that you're looking for meaning or growth, those are actually lower, and people are looking for peace. Inner peace is one of the main reasons that people show up to church, whether they're Christians or not. And so if that's true, it would beg the question why we haven't taught on peace in several years. So this is a felt need. This is something that people, and this is why I sent you the email on Saturday. If you're not on our email list, you should. An easy way to get on it is just to email us and say, put me on the email list, and we will make sure you get on. But I sent this out because I was like, listen, if you have a friend who you've been thinking about inviting to church, or you have a friend who's been going through some anxiety or some stress in their life, this is a great series to invite them to. It's going to be very practical, okay? So we'll just look at some statistics. 43% of adults report being more anxious in 2024, and obviously we don't have the statistics for this year yet, than they were in 2023, jumped up from 37% and 32% in the years previous. So people are feeling like every year, people in general, and that also means people in this room, are feeling more and more anxious. Adults are particularly anxious about current events, like the economy and politics, keeping themselves and their families safe, their health, paying their bills, the impact of technology, right? There's just, and you can feel it, can't you? You can feel it probably in yourself, in your body, but you can feel it in the community, in the world. There's just a growing anxiety. And so what we're going to do during this is we're going to take a topic each week, a key stressor that research is showing people are carrying around with them, and we're going to take a biblical response to it. But we're not just going to try to preach that biblical message. We're going to try to create a practical help for each of us, okay? So this week, we're going to be talking about money. I know, lucky you. But I have a game because I thought that might make it easier. All right, so also for those of you who are maybe new to City Light, I have been a youth pastor my whole life, and so once in a while I like to have fun at church because I don't see why the kids get to have fun and the adults don't. So we're going to play a game. I need one guy to represent all the guys in the room, someone who's got some personality, and one girl to represent all the girls in the room. I don't know. I feel like maybe a married couple would be good. What about the Platts? You guys, I think you should do it. Come on up. I don't know. Dan looked at me and saw me look at him, and he quickly looked away. I feel like that was a good indicator. All right, we're going to play City Light Friendly Feud. That is the worst logo I've ever seen in my life. That is so incredibly cheesy. Okay, so can we get both mics on? You want to introduce yourself?
Check one.
There we go. Guys, come up here with me. It's so weird. You go? All right, yeah. What's your name?
Good morning, I'm Dan.
Good morning, I'm right.
Oh, that's a good start.
All right, bring it. Christina.
And how do you guys know each other?
Well, I've met him in the parking lot. No, we've been married it'll be 14 years in August.
All right, we know who's got the personality in this marriage. Okay, I'm gonna get not in between you guys. So here's the deal. You wanna put the board up? So the question is, we're going for the top 5 quotes about money, like most popular quotes about money. You know how this works, right? And the research that I did was I asked ChatGPT, okay? So according to ChatGPT, the top 5 quotes about money, we'll let the ladies go first. And so you can get answers from the crowd, right? Like yell out answers, women, and then you pick one and you're gonna try it. Ladies.
Yeah, like that. All right, money doesn't grow on trees.
All right, money doesn't grow on trees? Oh, it was an X. Hold on to that one. All right. Hold on, time out. We want our sound effect. Do it again. There we go. Okay. All right. It's the guys' turn. All right, guys get to pick one.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh! All right, Janine, next time wait for Dan to pick one. She was on it. All right, that means the guys get to go again, right? All right, so.
Show me the money. Yes, please. Okay. All right. A penny saved is a penny earned.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, I made this and I forgot that was up there. All right, guys, keep
All
going.
right.
What else
Anyone
we got?
else? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Takes money to make money.
All right, back to the ladies. Let's go.
Let me do that one. Yeah. More money, more problems.
Yes, there we go. Wait, it didn't show up.
Money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. Try again. Did it freeze? Yeah! All right. All right, and it is misquoted. We know that's not actually what the Bible says, but that is what ChatGPT said was the most popular saying, and then in parentheses it said the misquotation of Paul, which I thought ChatGPT was right on its game. So, all right, can we get the last one? Wait, what's the score? 45. Oh, so whoever gets the next one wins. This is it right here.
Money can't buy happiness.
Okay. All right, guys, a chance to steal.
Chance to steal. Oh, we're poor. All right. Anyone else? Any other participants?
Yell it out.
Ooh, time is
money.
That's a good one.
Oh, let's go, guys. Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. That's it. That's the game. Good job. Let's give these two a round of applause. All right, you will get a paid vacation to Elkton, Maryland. Let's go. That's where they live. So, wait, are you in Elkton or Newark? Oh, it's so close. Okay, my bad. I do know where they live. You want me to show you? No. All right, so we're going to talk about money. And what's interesting is that when you start to do some research about stress and anxiety, you find out that money is at the top of the list. So 70% of financial uncertainty, okay, I got to read this right. 70% of people say that financial uncertainty has made them feel depressed or anxious. So look around the room. There's I don't know, we've got the kids out of here, so there's probably 140 people in here. So 70% of us, which is 14 times 7, so over 100 of you, are anxious about money or feel depressed about money at least some of the time. 60% say that worries have kept them up at night. Worries about money specifically kept them up at night. 40% say that it's made them actually feel physically ill. And the thing that's crazy is it's worse for Gen Z. Raise your hand if you're in Gen Z. People are like, I don't know. Like, if you're sort of young, yeah, whatever. I'm Gen X. All right, 56% of Gen Zers have felt ill, and 40% have felt depressed and anxious about money. Then you're not even at like the highest earning potential of your life yet, right? 50% of couples say it's affected their relationship. 50% of people have said it's affected their job performance. What we get out of this is that people are stressed about money. And the church isn't immune to it. Like, just because you're here doesn't mean that you're not dealing with that. So where does this financial anxiety come from? And the thing is, I think most people think, well, it's debt. Like, that's the thing that causes it. But I think financial anxiety comes from a lot of places. We can get it from just kind of a global sense of things are getting more expensive. Does anybody feel like things are getting more expensive? Anybody feel like food's getting more expensive? Yeah, right? And that can start to feel like, how am I going to fix that? I have no control over that. Right? And it feels like things are getting more expensive at a faster rate than your paycheck is getting bigger, right? Things that can cause you anxiety is like feeling like you're working multiple jobs and it's still not enough. That can cause anxiety, right? Debt certainly can cause anxiety, where you feel like you're trapped and you're paying, but it feels like it's not making a difference. You're trying to pay it off, but it feels like it's not making a difference. Or every time you take 2 steps forward, you take 4 steps back because something breaks, or there's some unexpected bill that happens, or like a tree falls on your house, things like that, not speaking from personal experience at all. You want to know what's really funny? Is the week after the tree fell on our house, our car died on us, which was really exciting. We were up in Wilmington, Mandy and I, and our car died. And so, we just love when things happen at the same time, right? Does anybody feel like that should have been a statement, right? When it rains, it pours. Isn't it true? I mean, doesn't it just feel like you can never have just one problem at a time? It's like multiple problems at a time. I think financial anxiety can come even when you're young by feeling like, how am I ever going to earn enough to have my own place? How am I ever going to earn enough to live on my own? There's so many ways that financial anxiety can creep in. Maybe even like you want to move. Like, you've been wanting to move because the place you're living maybe isn't that safe anymore. Like, the neighborhood's changed. I remember that happened for us. We were living in our second house, and the neighborhood was kind of shifting towards, well, I mean, let's be honest, someone got killed across the street from us. So it was, when I say kind of shifting, it was shifting. But we had bought that house at the height of the bubble in the 2000s. And so, like, we sunk $50,000 into that house. We're just going to be honest today, by the way. If you're like, well, I've never heard a pastor talk about money, right? And to get out, it took us a couple years of trying to sell that house to get out. And to get out of the house, we had to pay money to get out, right? And that was just the reality that we lived in. But that was a stressful time for us, where it felt like so out of our control. Like, we're trying to sell this house. The neighborhood, like, we have little kids. Like, even trying to move today feels hard, doesn't it? Like, if you want to move, and I know some of you might be like, well, that's kind of a first world problem, but not always. Like, sometimes the reasons you're moving, you need a better situation for your kids. You're looking for a better education system for your kids. You're looking for a better job for your family. All of these things can cause anxiety. And so the emotions that come with it are where the power is. And I think, like, if we were to talk about what are the emotions, the first one that I think of is, and I don't know if this is like an emotion, but that sense of powerlessness. Have you ever felt like, I just can't do anything to fix this? Whether it's like the economy, which feels so big and like you're out of control, or just like the reality of your life, like expenses and income, it just can feel overwhelming. I think another emotion that comes with this is anger. And you might, like, I think that's a reason it starts to affect the relationships around us, is because I'll just speak from my personal experience. When I feel like I can't fix something, I get angry. And that's across the board. If I can't fix a lawnmower, I get angry. If I can't fix my marriage, I get angry. If I can't fix the economy, I get angry. But I don't ever get angry at myself. I get angry at the things around me, right? So, like, if you're like noticing that you're more angry in your marriage, it might be financial stress. You know what I think is interesting is that we don't always connect our emotions to their root causes. And so you might be diagnosing yourself with like, my wife is just treating me poorly. She's not close to me or whatever. But really, you're stressed about your job. And we haven't connected those two things, right? So what emotions come with it for you? And what does it produce in you? This sense of hopelessness, sense of anger, the sense of anxiety. You know, for some of us, it's fear, right? Like this is what keeps us up at night, is we're just afraid. We're afraid that we're not going to be able to change it. We're afraid of the future. And it can feel overwhelming. And so what we want to do is does the Bible speak to this stuff? We're going to take, 3 or 4 key stressors. Each week we're going to take one, and we're going to say, what does the Bible have to say about this? Now, I am convinced, and this is how I try to live my life, that the Bible has something to say about most things in our life, right? Like, and you can find principles in it, and specifically money. The Bible talks about money a lot. And so what are some principles we can find in Scripture about money that we can apply to our lives? So I'm going to talk about, and I've actually been, ironically, I read through the Bible kind of at different, I read through the Old Testament and the New Testament at different paths. And then also, so I've been in Proverbs right now. And been reading Proverbs the last 30 days. And what's really interesting is there's a lot of wisdom about money. And so if you're not familiar with the Bible, right, there's an Old Testament and the New Testament. In the Old Testament, there's different genres of literature, basically. So the Bible is like a library, right? It's like a compilation of a bunch of books that all tell a big story about God. And Proverbs is what we would call wisdom literature. So you read Proverbs, and what it's doing is it's telling you what is usually true. Okay? Now, you might read Proverbs. You try to read Proverbs and act like it's Jesus' teaching, which would be a different kind of literature. You're going to get confused because you can read a proverb and it's not always true in your life. And then you can be like, well, see, the Bible's wrong. That's not the point of wisdom literature. Wisdom literature is describing what is normally true. And what's really cool about the Bible is you have Proverbs, and then you have Ecclesiastes, and then you have Job. And you get this great, like Job is this story of how you do everything right and things still are hard in life. And so the wisdom literature of the Bible actually balances itself out. I just want to give that disclaimer in case you've never read Proverbs, because we're going to read a bunch of Proverbs today. So let's jump in. The first one, there's going to be 5 pieces of advice that we find in Proverbs. The first one is, don't be too prideful to ask for help. So Proverbs says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. In general, that is true, isn't it? Plans fail for lack of counsel. Plans are established by seeking advice. So if you wage war, obtain guidance. With each of these 5, I'm going to share what I think is a lie that we buy into that keeps us from doing the thing that would help us. So the lie that I think we buy into here is that I should be able to do this on my own. I would love to do hands raised for this one. I'll just raise mine. Okay? How many people feel at some level they should be able to figure out their own stuff, right? Okay, you did it anyway. That's right. I somehow, when you cross the boundary of some magical age number, some people 18, 21, whatever, at some point you're like an adult, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be able to handle your life. I should be, and so I don't want to be sexist here, so like, hear me out, but I do think in general, not always, men really struggle with this. I should be able to figure this out. And asking for help is a sign of what? Weakness. Yeah. So that should tell you something about yourself. You're dealing with pride. That's what that is. That's not good. Just because you were raised in a culture that has a message, does our culture have any messages that are wrong? Okay, so the message that you should be able to pull now hard work is in Proverbs, but I'm saying the message that you should be able to figure it all out by yourself, that's not in the Bible. The Bible is a much more communal truth. And so can we learn to seek out advice? You know the 2 things that break up marriages the most are sex and money. You know the 2 things that people don't talk about? Sex and money. Isn't that interesting? You get into this marriage, guess what kind of problems you're going to have? Every marriage is going to have problems around sex, and they're going to have problems around money. And those are the two things that you're like, well, we can't ask anyone for help on those two. So if you can't figure it out on your own, no wonder it leads to divorce. And what the Bible is saying is embrace humility. Doesn't the Bible tell us in the New Testament that God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble? It is humiliating, and that has a negative connotation. But Jesus was humiliated, wasn't he? To humble ourselves is not bad. So 3 years ago, I have always done our taxes, and I have prided myself on that, okay? I like it, and it saves us money. I'm also a little bit of a cheapskate, and so I will do things that require tons of effort on my part and save us a little bit of money, but I think that that's worth it. And so I've been doing taxes. So I'm doing the taxes 3 years ago, I think now. And we're in like the PA healthcare marketplace, right? And so you get like these tax credits. Some of you are familiar with this. And then at the end of the year, they like analyze whether they gave you too little or too much money throughout the year. And they came back in my little program. It's like you enter all these numbers, and it says you owe $10,000. And have you ever felt that? Yeah, we've all been there, right? And you like break out into a full body sweat, and you're like, whose fault is this? It's my fault. I have failed my family. We don't have that money. What's going to happen? The IRS generally doesn't just forgive you, right? Or give you a loan. And so I'm like freaking out. And so you just go back, what do? Redo it. I must have made a mistake. Redo it. Then you start Googling, like, the problem with these do-it-yourself programs is you can't ever get into the actual forms, and it's like driving me crazy. I always do this at night, so then it's gonna be hard to fall asleep. I tell Mandy, and I don't want to tell Mandy, do I? Because I love her so much, I don't want her to be stressed. Or maybe I don't want her to know for a while. I needed to ask for help. And so I did. I reached out to a couple of friends, and they recommended a tax person who was like really good, and I'm gonna be honest, kind of expensive. And I had to swallow my pride and my cheapskateness, and she saved us like $8,000 because she understood it better than I did. Here's the question. Are you willing to embrace that someone might know more than you about something? I don't know. I don't feel like that landed. I don't know. You were like, I've been with you to that point. Okay, let's just say hypothetically, if you're struggling with your finances, if your finances are causing you stress and anxiety, what would it hurt to maybe just talk to someone about it? Number 2. I had it in my pocket. I might have broken it. So how does that help with anxiety? The way that helps with anxiety is whenever you can bring other people to be on your side. If you've ever dealt with anxiety, whenever you can bring other people to be on your side, it helps with your anxiety. It helps you and your emotions know that you're not alone. Okay. Number 2, make a plan. So get some advice. Number 2, make a plan. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. Put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready, and after that, build your house. What does that mean? It means get established financially before you start worrying about your comforts. In other words, make a plan for your finances. The lie here is, this is just how it is. I can't do anything to fix it. Right? I have overwhelming debt. There's no way that I can make a plan. And so what we do is we turn a blind eye to it. We avoid it. We ignore it. My income, I just can't keep up with my expenses. The kids just eat too much food, right? Like I have too many cars with too many car payments, but if I get rid of a car, I can't get to work. Like I've looked at it and I've looked at it and there's no fix. I just hope it changes. Hope is not a great financial strategy. And so here's when Mandy and I just want to say, I'm not a financial expert. I've never been, and I probably never will be. What I do have is years of experience of living paycheck to paycheck. Mandy and I, when we were younger, and I've always worked more than one job. Mandy's, since raising the kids, she's always worked. We're not like, rolling in it. We have to live on a budget. We have to be smart and careful. We have dealt with credit card debt. We have dealt with medical bills that are overwhelming. We've dealt with things breaking at untimely times, right? And so when we were living paycheck to paycheck, like literally, I would not want to look at my bank account. That's how paycheck to paycheck it was, is that near the end of the month, we could overdraft. Like that was a reality. And so what I would want to do is just ignore it and hope. Because if you don't look at it, there's probably enough in there. You're like, your budget and you're trying to live on your budget. And you're like, yeah, it's probably close. And so there would be months where I would just like ignore it until I would get the alert. And then that's when the anxiety would set in. And I think that was immature on my part. But what I really needed to do was face the music, to actually look at it. Because you can't fix a problem that you don't understand. You have to look at it. And this is with all anxiety, right? We need to look at what's causing us anxiety. We need to actually face it, talk about it, understand it. The more we can understand it, the less power it has over us. And the same thing is true for our finances. So listen, these two go together because you might not be able to make a plan without someone helping you. Okay? But there are plans that can be made in every situation. Here's the third one, which you're not going to like, is that this plan is not going to work overnight. The way that a plan helps you deal with their anxiety, you can ask any counselor that when you're dealing with anxiety, if you can make a plan for what happens if that thing you're so stressed out about actually happens, it reduces your anxiety. Mentally, you can go to that plan, okay? So, but you have to work the plan. And what we all want is we want a plan that will last about 3 weeks and solve all our problems. Right? We've been raised in this society that's like immediate gratification, and yet most financial plans are going to take some time, aren't they? So Proverbs tells us that lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands. Diligence is something you do repeatedly over time, one step at a time. I like this one. Dishonest money dwindles away. I wonder if we could say like get rich quick money dwindles away. But whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. See, what we want a lot of times is we're like, I'm in debt or I've got these problems. I'm just going to buy a lottery ticket or a proverbial lottery ticket. Like I'm going to look for like, products like the get rich quick stuff or books that tell you like, instead of just like, okay, let's just do this one step at a time, and I've got a 5-year plan. I've got a 10-year plan. Like I know I have a friend who was in debt from a business venture gone bad, over $100,000. And they applied a plan. They didn't like suddenly make that kind of money and be like, oh, we paid it off in a couple months. But they applied a plan. They lived on a budget. And what little bit they could pay, they did until it was gone, right? So you have to be willing, after you get advice, make a plan, to work the plan. Guys, what's interesting is this is in the Bible, right? Like this isn't just me, because like I said, I'm not a financial person. All hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. And this is what I want to do. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to have to live on a budget. I want to complain about it, but I don't want to have to sacrifice and maybe not have 7 subscriptions to every single TV service, right? I hate that. Never mind. Right? I want to talk about it, but I don't want to reduce the amount of times we eat out or whatever, right? I don't want to do the effort. Can I just say something that I think is broken about the world? Is healthcare. I can't tell you how many times I have gotten a bill in the mail, we've gotten a bill in the mail that is wrong by thousands of dollars. And we have spent hours on the phone and ended up getting it corrected. And I think, what if we didn't have that kind of margin? What if I was a single mom? What if I was working 2 jobs and I couldn't spend hours on the phone? I think that the system is rigged against the less money you have, the harder it is. All right, that has nothing to do with my teaching. I just feel bad about it. That was really out of left field, wasn't it? I don't know. You can tell I've been wanting to say it though. Ticks me off. We want to do something about it. Anybody else want to do something about that? Talk to us. We don't know what to do, but we want to do something. The lie is that this is too hard and I can't do it. The lie is this is too hard. Our living situation is too hard. This debt is too big. This bill is too much. I've tried so hard to get a better job. I can't earn more, whatever. And the reality is that there are plans that can help you, okay? I hope you hear that I'm not minimizing anyone's issues in here. I'm not minimizing, like the issues are real, but I do think that we get defeated and we feel hopeless. And that I don't think that leads to the life that God has for us. There are people in this room. We actually have some people on a team called our practical needs team that doesn't get a whole lot of advertising at the front. But we have people who will sit down with you and help you to look over your numbers. I will say this, if you are struggling financially and you can't afford to get help, we will come alongside of you and help you. I would rather spend a couple $100s of the church's money to get you on a plan that's going to decrease your anxiety and get you to in a better financial situation. I would rather do that than the church save that couple $100s. So listen, seriously, but what it's going to take is humility. No one likes to ask for help. That is such a broken thing about our humanity. What is wrong with asking for help? We're back to point 1 here. But like, don't leave today and just stay like double down on I can do this. I think you would have missed the point if you did that. All right, how does it help? Every time that you make a little step towards overcoming the thing that's causing you anxiety, it helps your anxiety go down. So if you pay down some debt $50, you can celebrate those little wins, right? You can celebrate those little wins. Oh, come back. Okay, number 4, we're almost done. Continue to find ways to be generous. Now this goes against what it would seem like is like hold on to your money if you're struggling financially. Proverbs tells us a different story. A generous person will what? Prosper. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Whoever's kind to the poor is not lending to the poor. They're lending to the Lord. And God will reward them. He'll reward them. See, the lie is I don't have enough to help others. And that is never true. That's never true. We always have enough to help other people. And there is something powerful that actually battles our anxiety when we're generous. This is just a summary of a bunch of research that's out there. But being generous helps you emotionally. It helps your physical health. It helps you live longer. It gives you better social connections. It helps you with your brain chemistry. Like there are so many studies up and down the board of how generosity helps you. It's amazing how I love when science figures out what Jesus has been telling us for 2,000 years, right? So generosity is good for you. What did Jesus say? It's better to give than to receive. So find little ways to be generous. When we were first married and living on like shoestring budget, we were given like $25 a month to this organization that supports kids. Was it Compassion International at that time? I think it was Compassion International. It's gotten more expensive since then. But like that was actually felt like a risk to us at that time. Also, things were cheaper back then, right? But there's always something you can do. Okay? Generosity is going to help deal with your anxiety because it's going to make it feel like your money isn't owning you. It's going to make you feel like you're not trapped. There's something powerful about giving it away. And lastly, I think we have to learn contentment. Proverbs tells us better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. There's actually so many of these in there. Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. And the lie is that we have been told from day one as Americans is you'll never have enough. There's never enough. Get more, get more, get more, get more. You're never going to be satisfied. And what the Bible teaches is something radically different, right? This is our only New Testament verse for today. Paul writes this, I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content. So contentment is something you can learn. It's something I can learn. You might not have the skill yet, but you can start to pray about this and you can start to discipline yourself to think and live contentedly. I've learned to be content regardless of my circumstances. So I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. We could probably all say that, right? And it kind of comes and goes, doesn't it? I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, living in plenty or in want. I can do all things, right? Through him who gives me strength. There is something about being a believer that helps us. And there's tons of research out there about this too, that people of faith have a much better kind of feeling around anxiety and stress with finances than people who don't have faith. So just having a prayer life, just knowing God actually reduces your anxiety. Isn't that crazy? So these are the 5 things. Now look, I Googled what's some advice that financial experts would give to people who are dealing with financial stress and anxiety. And so here was an article I found. It looks remarkably like what Proverbs teaches, doesn't it? I mean, it's very similar. I just think it's interesting. Ecclesiastes, also in the wisdom literature, says there's nothing new under the sun. The stuff that was working thousands of years ago still works. So don't be too prideful to ask for help. Worship team, come on up. Make a plan. Guys, what if you took this to heart? What if you are here dealing with financial stress, if it is affecting your life? What if you wrote these down or took a shot of this with your phone and you said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the Bible at its word. I'm going to get someone to help me. I'm going to make a plan and stick to it and work that plan. And I'm going to be generous even in the midst of that time. And I'm going to learn somehow. I'm going to pray about being content. Because that's a gift from God, right? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So God, would you give me contentment in my heart? I can say this, that no matter what you have financially going on, God's will for you is not that you're suffering. It's not that you're emotionally anxious, that you're worn out, that you can't sleep, that you feel sick, that you're worried all the time. God's will is even through financial hardship that we are able to somehow find peace. And that's what this whole series is about. It's not about your circumstances all changing immediately. It's about finding inner peace in the midst of circumstances that are not peaceful. So God's will is for you to find peace while you figure this out financially. And that's our hope for you guys.